Let's do diagnostic tools. Right, so here are the top diagnostic tools that I use regularly when consulting. Let's look at alcohol units. A beautiful poster to help when we're recording alcohol intake. I'm just going to quickly look through them to show you the quality of the posters that are available. I mean, how can you consult with a GI problem without using this Bristol stool score? I just don't know. Diabetes diagnostic WHO criteria. I made this cause when I was going through blood results and I wasn't sure. I'd refer to this regularly. HbA1c targets in adults. This is a new one that's just been made about children with query type 1 diabetes, who we're supposed to refer to and how. Let's look at this. When you check patients' weight in kgs and they want to know what they are in stones and pounds. Same for children. Where I use the children one is especially when I don't know the weight of a child and I want to prescribe something, so I get their rough weight from here. This is for female babies and at the bottom it's for male children. This is the updated new scores. The Pew's score. This is new as well. This is quite good, screening guide, and if you look at page 4, that is what I use most often. That tells you how frequently the various screening programs are to happen. Then these are both the new and the old commissioning outcome policy criteria, or the old, what we used to call clinical threshold. I know I can't use this to actually refer people, but what I do, I just click on it to just look at what the criteria are before filling in the self-populated referral form on eMission System 1. So these are the general ones that I use. Then I've categorised them: biochem, hematology, diagnostic tools, mental health, ENT, cardiovascular, gastro, renal, gynae, derm. I'm sure you must have used these biochem flowcharts for various biochemical abnormalities. I'm not going to go through each one. Look at the Simon-Broom criteria. Then the one I use most commonly from here is the 6-sit score. I print it out and fill it in and then just scan it into the notes. I use the Centaur score. Alright, so this takes me on to something called MD Calculator. Just click on, if I'm seeing a patient, say they are 26, they've got exudates, they've got swollen tender lymph node, they've got a high temperature, cough is absent, and it works out my Centaur score, and I just put that into the notes. Wells criteria, the heart failure pathway, depending on my BNP results, what to do, who to contact. So when do I refer to the hospital clinic and when do I refer to the community clinic? Wells criteria, when it comes to referring for DVTs, we've got to convince the nurses there. So again, I use this MD calculator. Somebody's got swollen legs. Let me just show you how to use it. They don't have cancer. They've been bedridden. They've got more than 3 centimetre discrepancy. I can see superficial veins. The entire leg isn't swollen. They've got localised tenderness. And so the value comes up and then I can just say to the nurse, look, they're scoring 4 on the Wells criteria. And then they can't say no to me for seeing my patient. I don't know whether you've looked at this LFT pathway. This is something I made with Dr. Bullis when we had the best talk on abnormal LFT, surprisingly. So AKI, I know this is quite busy, but you know, it just helps us what we do and do not need to refer. Talks about how often we need to do the blood test before we can diagnose. Is it a CKD? How often we need to do various blood tests, what we need to refer, and how we can get advice from the renal team, what the blood pressure targets are. Now look at this beauty. You'll remember this slide from the talk that we had on rheumatology, because I find it really confusing sometimes what to do and what is positive in terms of antibody testing. So next one, chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, what tests we need to do before we refer somebody from chronic fatigue syndrome or to the ME clinic in Sheffield. And if we don't do any of these, they'll get back to us. So it's better if we do it to begin with before we refer. The dermatology quality of life index, especially now when it comes to referring people to dermatology, if they score a high value, then the dermatologists are happy to see them. Well worthwhile filling this in and sending it with a dermatology referral letter. These are new pathways that I've recently made. Okay, and it talks about your steroid reduction. It's at the top. Temporal arteritis pathway, when do we refer to which service? What bloods we need to do, what we need to start, and who we need to contact. It's quite good. Skin recognition table. Okay, I'll let you look at that in your own time. So as I say, these are the ones I tend to most commonly use in terms of diagnostic tools. But if there's something not there and you want to look at all the diagnostic tools that I've put on, then if you go on to that and you can then press whatever it is that you want. Let's just do ENT, and that will bring up all the relevant diagnostic tools to do with ENT. That you might not find all of them in the top diagnostic tools that we've just looked at right now.